welcome to December on the Standpoint. As you can see, you know, we started our Christmas in November, and today I'm looking very Christmassy. Yes, yes, yes. I hope you are in the mood, irrespective of whatever it is that is going on. We know we are in really tough times, but we thank God for life, and we'll make do with whatever we have. But don't forget, please, I need the shoes. The shoes for my children in rural communities. If the things are tough for you now, just imagine the children in rural communities. Brand new shoes, please, for age 02 to 16. So size 02, 42, 43 for both girls and boys. So please, 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 please donate, okay? I know things are tough, but that's why God will bless you when you give me more. Anyway, today I have Africa represented on my set. Yes, I have women from across Africa, and we are going to have a beautiful conversation. You know, the 16 days of activism started on the 25th of November and is going all the way to the 10th of December. And today, we are going to have a conversation on the theme for this year: Unite, Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls. And we are going to have a conversation about how we can come together as African women to work together to end this canker, this thing that doesn't seem to go away. Anyway, let me say thank you to Bri Redra for my dress. Thank you so much to her. My makeup is by Makeup by Taba. She's on Instagram. You can follow her. Thank you so much. My shoes by Awoz Boutique, a unisex boutique, and you can go there anytime to get, the season, get beautiful shoes, and you can buy one for me too, and I'll say thank you. Of course, my beads by Matilda Hood Couture, and I'm so grateful to them. We take a break. When we come back, we meet these women from Africa, and we will have a beautiful conversation. We'll be back. And welcome back. Yesterday, we're going to have a beautiful conversation with great women from across Africa. Africa is represented. I think my table almost looks like it, but a distorted shape of Africa. We are going to have a beautiful conversation about ending violence against women and girls. It's been too long, and we'll look at the various countries, what pertains in them, what we can do together as Africa. 16 days of activism started on the 25th of November and then 10th of December. Let me introduce my guest who I met quite recently when the Media Foundation for West Africa held a conference for women from across Africa, you know, and it was a conference and an awards program, and I was privileged to be there, and I met them. Now I have Christy Joseph Chukwuemeka, who's the Deputy Director Programs, Voice of Nigeria, and she's seated right opposite me. Good to have you on my set, my sister.
It's good to be here. Good morning and welcome. Thanks for having me here.
I know you are used to saying welcome, because you welcome to that's why I'm welcome to your world. Okay, so next to her, I have Fadosa Ahmed, who is a Deputy President, District Commissioner, Uganda, and 2021 MP aspirant. Good to meet you, my sister.
Nice to be here. I'm happy to be here.
Are we going again? Are we going to contest again? When is the next election?
The next election is going to be in 2026.
2026?
Yeah.
We'll go again, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Amen.
It's a win this time.
Sure, I trust you. I trust you, because this is the season for women.
Women,
yeah. The time for women is now. And right next to me is my sister, Honorable Nema Lugangira. Who is a member of Parliament, Tanzania. Welcome, my sisters. Welcome to Ghana. Welcome to the Standpoint. And it's a privilege to have you here. Now, you have been an MP for how long?
It's my first term in office, and it's actually during these 16 days is when I hit my 2 years in Parliament.
Okay, yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has it been?
It's been very interesting and very challenging in the sense that it pushes you to learn and understand things that usually it was not your area. Because you know, you go into Parliament with your expertise and your experience, and then once you're in Parliament, you can't just stick to your niche. You have to discuss and learn about things across the board that are affecting citizens, the country, the economy. So it's quite interesting.
So what's your background before becoming an MP?
So before becoming an MP, I've been pushing policy and advocacy, and I've worked across different sectors, oil and gas, mining, agriculture, and then I've worked in private sector, government, NGO sector, and then I got into politics.
Into politics. Okay, we'll be back. Back. Let me go to Fadosa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what made you decide to go to Parliament?
Maybe decide me to contest
Contest,
because I'm
yes.
not yet in Parliament.
Yeah, oh, yes, you attempted to go to Parliament,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
want to go to, and you will be there.
Yeah.
So what's the
So I joined politics in 2016. I was elected as a district youth councillor at the local government. Then later on, I was elected as a speaker for the assembly. And then, so what made me actually join politics and then decide to run for member of parliament is because of the challenges. Like there are so many challenges in my community, and then the representation was so poor. So I felt like I can do this. I can represent the voice of the people. Because the person who has been there for so long, and we're still facing the same challenges. Yeah, so there are so many challenges that I felt like if I go to another position, if I maybe, for example, I have a bachelor's degree, and then I've also have other certificates. So I felt like if I probably get a job, for example, maybe a UN job, meaning I'm going to concentrate on only one area. Yeah, maybe because I have a bachelor's in business, so meaning I'm just going to be maybe a marketeer or something. And then what happens to the rest of the problems with the people? So I felt like politics is actually an opportunity where you can talk about so many issues concerning the community. Yeah,
So like honorable, going to politics for you is to go and serve.
To go and serve the people.
And solve
yeah,
the solutions of you.
Exactly that.
How's it like contesting as a woman in Uganda?
Well, it's not easy. Not only in Uganda, just like any other parts of the world. It's not easy joining politics as a woman. There are so many things. Actually, for me, when I joined politics, the first question that came up was like, Fadosa, if you're going to join politics, every other dirty linen about you will come out into public. Don't join it. Actually, someone even said, you'll know who your real father is. So you know what that means. It means that you will know some things you didn't know about yourself. Yeah, so I was like, no, it's okay. I want to join politics. This is a place, this is my calling. Like, I cannot just watch so many issues happening. And these are the same things affecting me as well, affecting my family, and then affecting my friends and other people.
But
so,
did it happen? Did people throw things at you?
Yeah, it happened. It happened. Yeah, it happened. Like so many of them said, "You're so young, you can't represent." Some of them said, "You're a woman." Some of them said, "No, we need only older people who have had experience." Some of them were saying, "Are you married? You're not yet married." So we need someone. Yeah, that one. And then then also some of them were like, "You're a very beautiful young girl. When you enter parliament at this age, there are so many angry men out there. There are so many powerful, angry politicians there. You're not going to do anything in parliament." And I was like, no, I'm not going there to look for a man or anything. I'm here to serve. I will do it. So, and then of course, some people are like, politics is expensive. Where are you going to get the money to run for a political position? I was like, no, it doesn't matter. So even at the time when I was getting nominated, I resigned from my job because I had a job at the same time I was in council. Right. So I resigned even when I didn't know where the nomination fee was going to come out from. Yeah, because the nomination fee was close to like $1,000. But I was like, no, it doesn't matter. I'm resigning and I'm going for this with money or without money. Yeah, and I did it. And after I resigned, friends contributed, people contributed money, and they also saw a potential in me because I served in council for 5 years. I was a speaker of the assembly for 5 years. Wow. And so there was a lot of belief that, I was believed in the whole community that I could make it. And for sure, the incumbent, she has been there for 25 years. She has been there for 5 terms. And so imagine with all the money she had, she only beat me with a very few votes. Yeah, even without the money. Yeah, so it's not quite easy being a woman politician. There are so many things that come out. Yeah, there's so many challenges. Yeah, but you just have to have a strong heart. You have to have, you have to push. You need to know why you're there in the first place. Yeah, once you know why you've gone into politics, everything else will be easier. Yeah, you just need to know why you've taken up the nomination and.
And I know you're part of the panel. I'll come to you, my sister, but you were part of the panel, and some of the issues came up. So I believe that you also face the same thing lots of things were thrown at you. They
So-
showed you who your father was.
So with the case of Tanzania, we have a different system in the sense that in our constitution, there's an affirmative action that 30% of the parliament must be women.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So how that works is after the general election, they check the percentage of votes each party got. And there's a calculation they do, and then those 30% seats are 113. So it will then be divided which party gets how many seats as per the votes that they got.
Okay.
So I come from the ruling party, Chama cha Mapinduzi.
Right.
And in our party, we have the women's wing. So these special seats, which are the reserved quota, we will have party elections. So we'll go through a political party election system.
So
internal party election. And it's all done through the women's wing. So that's that's the way that it's done in Tanzania. But the challenges are...
So then you don't have to contest nationally?
No, you don't contest nationally. We contest internally. So before the general election, every party will submit to the National Electoral Commission 113 names from number 1 to number 113. After the election, when they do the calculations of the percentage of the vote, then if my party, CCM, is getting 80 special seats, so what the National Electoral Commission will do, will go to that list that was submitted prior to the election and go 1 to 80, cross the line. So the 80 you go through. But then what it means that even once you know your name is on the list,
you may not know whether...
You're not guaranteed because your party needs to get enough votes so that you can increase that percentage. So it means as women, you really have to campaign for all the constituencies, very aggressive campaign.
Right. Christy, I will come back to you. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the situation in Nigeria. You are in the media, and you see, we all know that, I mean, when it comes to Nigeria, the women are very vocal. They are, in there everywhere, championing. They don't care what you throw at them. They will throw it back to you. That's it. So we'll see whether it's any different from the rest of Africa. Some of the challenges like Uganda, like Ghana has, do they also get things thrown at them? The name calling.
Of course.
And most of the time too, it comes from us, the media, But you will take a break. When we come back, I'll come to you on that. You're watching The Standpoint. It is the first Sunday in December, and we're celebrating 16 days of activism. The theme for this year is Unite Activism to end violence against women and girls. Let me say thank you to Juice Time, Away Purified Mineral Water, and Puma Drinks from Casapreco Company Limited, House of Food, Antivera. We are so grateful. Fairy Queen Catering Services, thank you so much for coming on board to support us. We are also grateful to Penta Foods, who produce Go-Got Yogurt, to Cake Technique, Yap Cleaning Services, who take care of our environment, Standing Floral and Decor for the natural and artificial plants, Fina Decor for the Christmas decor that they've done for us. We're so grateful to all of them. We take a break. When we come back, we'll continue this interesting conversation. Welcome back to The Standpoint. Yes, we're still talking about women across Africa, women and girls, and yes, sharing the experiences of some of my sisters around the table who are into politics. Let me say thank you once again to Bri Redra for my dress, making me look very Christmassy. I love Christmas already. And thank you to Makeup by Taiba for the makeup product, always by Note Cosmetics. We are always grateful to them. And my beads by Matilda Hood Couture. Shoes, I'm a sitting mannequin. Shoes by Awoz Unisex Boutique. You're so grateful to all of them. And hey, happy feet. Christmas is almost here. Please, one shoe, one brand new shoe for one Ghanaian child in the rural community. Please support us, okay? Please. From size 0 to 43. That's for children new babies to, 16 years, please. Okay, we give it to children across, Ghana, please, in the rural communities. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for giving, okay? Okay, my sister Christy, that's what we are always begging for people.
That's part of it.
It's part of it, yeah. How is Nigeria's story when it comes to women in politics?
Oh, it's the same story everywhere, just as you have it in Tanzania or in Uganda.
Yeah.
It's the same story in Nigeria. Women are very vocal, like you said. They are very outspoken. They want to be represented. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to contribute their quota towards the development of the country. So, although the statistics of women coming out in politics is not so much, the few ones that are there, they are trying to prove their mettle. They do that. They galvanize. They organize committees. They organize people. They speak to people. They go to rural areas to inform the women, to let them know the reason why they should come out, to ensure that their votes count. So women are doing a lot in different perspectives. For example, we have this comedian who has been in comedy for so many years.
Right.
It's so beautiful that this time around she's coming out under the platform of PDP, and I want to believe that because she's so popular, a number of women would want to support her.
Yeah.
I think they're actually doing that. The media is trying to promote her from time to time, different media houses, starting from the private media houses to government houses. They're trying to propel her to make sure she comes out and she contributes her quota towards the development.
Are we talking about Jennifer?
Jennifer.
That's her name is
Funke
Funke Akinde, yes.
Akinde,
But we all know her as
yeah.
Jennifer. That's good. That's another thing I want us to look at. Every time they throw at us when we are championing, for more women to be voted into parliament. I remember our last election, I was very vocal on social media, calling on people to call on to vote for women, and also calling on the political parties to look out for the women who are out there campaigning for them, so that when they win and they're sharing the position, they give the women positions. In government. Well, nobody listened anyway, and this is where we are. We don't have many women in there. But most of the time, what is thrown at us is, the women, you don't vote for women. Women don't vote for women. You won't see women going out campaigning for other women. Is this a challenge? Is it a true representation of what happens, especially in Nigeria? Do women vote for women?
To some extent, I would say that women support. It's a no, yes. Yes, some women support. No, some women don't support. Usually, like we were told yesterday, women are often their problems. I don't know why a woman will not come out to support a fellow woman. But that's the situation to some extent in Nigeria. Women feel that, my fellow woman, if she comes out, she will maybe greater than me, or she will not be able to she will not be able to compete with the male gender.
Isn't it because of how we are socialized as, women going up, against each other? For example, here in Ghana, what they do is, when they see that Party A is maybe pushing a woman to contest in an area, Party B will also take a woman to that area and push it and say that, go and fight her, go and compete with her. So that when we get the general picture, we have so many women contesting, but the constituencies where they are contesting are very few.
Yeah.
So you will have one constituency, you have about 4 women contesting. So even if a woman wins, it's just one woman.
Yeah.
It's not 4 women as is on paper. That is what, the men behind, and I'll say it without fear or favor, always seem to push and pitch women against each other. And sometimes when you're not properly socialized and you don't learn and unlearn these tricks of society, you fall victim to it. I don't know how you in parliament, you survive with with your male colleagues in parliament. Sometimes the way you are treated, because we've seen cases where a woman you know, like some women go into parliament and it's like all they have to do is to serve the men. When they are sharing food, go and share. They are sharing drinks, go and share.
Sorry, I'd like to say something about our culture,
right,
which may be one of the reasons why it is like that.
Right.
You know, while growing up in the African setting, the woman is raised to believe that the man is the head.
Yeah.
It's a man's world.
Yeah.
So
from tradition,
from tradition,
church,
from culture, from church, from the mosque, from everywhere.
Everywhere.
The woman is raised to believe that. So by the time she grows up and gets into politics, that same mindset is there. She sees the man to be superior, and she will be feeling, this woman should go and sit down. After all, it's a man's world. So they always want the male gender to be there. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the problem of the woman per se. It's our upbringing. Yeah. It's our culture. But thank God you said something about relearning and unlearning. Yeah. With process, when we come together, when women committees come together and we start addressing these issues, that may be, the problem will be reduced.
Right,
yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
For the case of Tanzania, I think, first of all, we're very fortunate in the sense that our country has made intentional efforts in instilling gender equality, especially in politics. For example, in the 2015 election, for the first time, we had a running mate who was a female of our party, CCM, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is now our president, which was the first time that it had happened. And right now, we have the first female president, Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who took over about a year plus ago when our sitting president passed away. May he rest in peace. And in the period that she has been in power, Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan has also made intentional efforts of making sure that she breaks the bias. So we have had positions which were naturally kind of assumed to be male positions. She has nominated women. Right. We had the first ever female defense minister.
Right.
Female foreign minister. We've had a foreign minister before. But those key, you can look at the key ministries, defense, foreign, health,
is interesting.
Health, community and development, education. There was a time, industry and trade. The key ones held by women. That's sending a message. For the first time, we have a parliamentary clerk, a woman. And so she's making deliberate efforts. And even right now, as a parliamentarian, I feel so fortunate that our speaker is a female, Right Honorable Dr. Tulia Ackson.
Right.
And she ensures that in Parliament, we are treated equally. So that positivity, it gives us the extra strength and the zeal to push on. When Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan came into power, she set up a special task force to look at the multipartism of democracy in Tanzania.
Right.
And one of the key recommendations that she told them she wants them to flesh out is the issue of gender equality in political parties. So I remember on 22nd of October, that's when the special task force submitted to her the report. And in her speech, if I can quote her correctly, she said that the issue of gender abuse in political parties, that one she agrees with. And she will ensure that it is dealt with. But at the same time, we must empower women to feel confident enough to run.
Right.
So such a powerful statement coming from her. It's refreshing because she recognizes it. She's also been in politics.
There's a problem.
So and for me as a parliamentarian, you asked me the question on how do we deal with our counterparts? What I came to experience is you actually don't face issues with your female colleagues. You face issues with your male colleagues when you're coming from the same area. Remember earlier I said that we have an affirmative action, so we have special seats MPs.
Right.
Now, at 30%, we have special seats. So it means if we want to get to 50% of parliamentarians to be women, that 20% must come from constituencies. Right. So if you're coming from the same constituents with a constituent MP who is a male, but your special seat, and he sees the way you're working, your aggressiveness, your assertiveness, the impact that you're creating in the community, how the community is relating to you, he suddenly starts
attacking you.
Knowing, wait a minute, this one, next election, she may come from my seat. So then they start making calculative moves to make sure whatever you want to do, it's blocked here, blocked there. And it's very calculative such that you can't even prove that it's him.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that he is involved somewhere, somehow. And actually, even last year in Parliament, one of my colleagues, Honorable Jacqueline Msongozi, raised it in Parliament and asked our former Speaker that, are they allowed to do this? Is this how it's supposed to be? Because if you're an MP, you should be confident with your constituents. You do your work, let me do my work. Because I'm a female representative, and I have no limitations. I can work anywhere. But it doesn't mean that in my hometown, I should not work because of you. So they block you. You may want to do an event, suddenly you find it's blocked. People are not coming. Things, just very tactful things. But with the statement of Her Excellency President Samia, it means that change will come. And myself in Parliament, actually this year, I tabled an issue to the Ministry of Constitution and Legal Affairs that we need to change our Political Parties Act and our Election Act so that it can recognize categorically gender abuse on women in politics, because the two laws don't recognize it. So it should be recognized that gender abuse on women in politics is an offense that can even make you lose your seat or make you lose your nomination, so that our male counterparts will take it with severity.
Christy, so even in Parliament, even in politics, there's gender abuse.
Yes.
In our societies, for years, I got involved in activism from my secondary school days, and I remember starting when I was at the Institute of Journalism, started a women's wing, a women's club called Pen Ladies, when they returned from Beijing in 1995. And our then First Lady, Nana Kunedu Ajima Rawlings, I went to her to tell her that it looks like the youth are not being involved. And she looked at me and said, so what are you going to do about it? And that pushed me and it's brought me thus far in my gender work. Violence against women and girls. We've talked about it. We've demonstrated against it. I remember when the Boko Haram said the girls, I was one of those who demonstrated, went to a demonstration here in Ghana. We've done everything. Still, this persists. How are we going to really, with this conquer, how can we uproot it from our system?
I want to say that we should start. We can do something by starting from our families. Take it from the family angle. You know, we have to bring up our girls, teach them, nurture them on what the society holds, what patterns in the society. Teach them some preventive measures. I'm also going to talk about the other side. Some preventive measures. Let them be careful. Women, they have to be very careful. But I think it has to do more with the society. And you know, when talking about gender, most times we just talk about the female gender and not talk about the male gender. Much as we are talking about the female gender, we should be able to educate our male genders to know that the women, women are, do I call them the mothers of the nature? They are the center of the society. So they should not be toyed with. They should not be tampered with. They should be treated with love, with understanding, not to be abused. I also want to say that the government has a role to play. I know that there are some laws against violence against women and girls. Yeah. So the government should be able to not just put it down in writing, but be able to implement some of those measures against any perpetrator of violence against women and the girl child. In schools, we can do something. Let them be programs. Let them be subjects on women and violence against women and girls in school. Let them be taught, both the male gender and the female gender. By the time we get to know, talk to our psyche, talk to our intelligence, I think to some extent it will be reduced. It's a practice that that's going to take a long time because we've lived with it over the years for so long a time.
And to some extent, some of them has been normalized.
Some of them have been normalized. I want to agree with you. So to make it not common, it's not going to be very easy. It's going to be tasky, but it's a task that must be done. It will be done when the family looks into that, the society takes care of it, the schools, they come into play, the government, the policymakers, they come into play. I'm very sure that something positive will be done.
But before I come to you, let me go to Fadoza, because it looks like sometimes the whole thing has been institutionalized, and there are institutional roadblocks when it comes to fighting against, violence against women and girls, from the security services when you have to go and report, to the hospitals when you have to report, to the court, it's society, even your own family. Sometimes they say to cover the family name so you don't have to, especially when it comes to rape. I don't know if the same thing is happening in Uganda.
Yeah, actually the same thing also happens in Uganda, like especially the way you said institutionalized. Like, for example, if someone is reporting the case to police on gender-based violence, of course they first have to go to the hospital, because the hospital has to prove that you've really been violated. And then, of course, that form, we have a form called P3 form that the police gives you. You take it to the hospital, and then the doctor is going to ask you for money. And then you find that the victim doesn't have
mercy. This is what we've been fighting. The same thing happened here.
Yeah, so it's also happening in Uganda. So it has happened.
Does it happen in Tanzania too? When you're going for medicals, I mean,
they ask you for the
the case of domestic violence, rape, and all that.
No, for Tanzania, it's been sorted out. And
so it's free.
Before there was a challenge of getting the form, that you have to go to the police first and then go to the hospital. So there used to be delays. Yeah. But now the government...
No, not just the delays. But do they pay doctors when you go to the hospital? Do you have to pay for the
emergencies? They can do it immediate. No, the form will be free.
Okay.
So in Uganda it used to happen, but later on, of course, the statistics of women being violated went high, and so the government had to come up with something. So right now, what is happening right now is when you get violated and then you go to the police and then you have to go to the hospital. So the government has decided that you will be, that doctor who signs that form will receive the money in his account or in his account.
So government is taking over that cost?
Yeah, it's taking that cost. But of course, what we need to do now is mobilize, because the victims still don't know that. So most of them they still remain home and still nurse the wounds and even die, because they're like, even if you go to the hospital, there are these obstacles. Even if you go to police, there are these obstacles. And then also the doctors, they fear going to court because they are the first witness. Yes, they're supposed to go to court. So sometimes those charges, at first that money was put on, like for the case of Uganda, the government had put money in judiciary. And then judiciary also would take long to pay the doctors that money. So the doctors started fearing to fill those forms. So once they see a victim of rape, they can give you the help. They can take up and give you the support when you arrive. But then taking charge to sign for you that form, there was a lot of fear in it, because you have to use your own money to go to court. Sometimes the courts are very far from the community and so forth. But what I can say is, for now, because even recently we have been talking about the issue of gender-based violence and how to help the victim. So the government has already come up with a system that is going to prevent all these roadblocks and all that. But of course, it is going to take time for the victims to know that, we can now get the support, and all that, But of course, one of the challenges also is the victims, like the survivors of gender-based violence. It's very hard for someone to report that they have been raped. It takes courage. It's not easy.
Because of stigma.
Because of stigma. And even the children that get violated, like when they're abused, a mother will be like, if I report this issue if I bring it out, it's going to ruin the future of this young girl. And so there's still that in the community, and and so forth. Yeah, but of course, this is something that we have to keep on fighting. This is the right time. Like this 16 days of activism in Uganda, we take it very serious. Once it starts, we use it for advocacy and so forth, and there's some results coming out of it. So and even as leaders, like I might be having a position that is not directly linked to for me to talk about gender-based violence, but it has been advised that we need to mainstream all this in all our all the work we are doing, the daily activity we are doing. We have to talk about it. Yeah, and then of course we have seen also there are drivers that cause the drivers to gender-based violence, like alcoholism. Yeah, so like now in my community, I come from a region that has over 19 districts. Let me say a region that has 1.2 million people. And it's actually one of the areas that has high gender-based violence. The statistics are so high because first of all, the women believe that when a husband beats you, he loves you. That is the perception, like in my community.
It's across.
Yeah,
there are some women
they
across,
say,
and indeed not just Africa, across the world.
Yeah, so they feel like when your husband is beating you, he really actually loves you and is trying to discipline
and after
you.
They'll give you nice things.
Yeah, nice
And
things after.
One I heard one interview, I had to cover her face. She said that the after beating sex is exceptional.
You can imagine that kind of perception, that mindset. So even us in our community, the women have been having that perception that once for you is actually sometimes they even abuse each other. For you, your husband doesn't beat you, they don't love you. For me, they love me, and that's why I'm beaten. Because he cares about me. If he doesn't beat me, then he doesn't care. So we're trying to change that. And of course, I was talking about alcoholism. So in my region, where I come from, actually, it's the highest in alcoholism in the whole of Uganda. So this is something that we are fighting. We have actually come up with ordinances at the local government level. So each district has an ordinance to stop alcohol into coming.
Let me come to our honorable MP here, and I know when you were on the panel, you talked about having a group where you have African members of parliament, right? And you were part of it, or you started it?
Yes, I started.
You started it. Well done, ladies. So the theme this year is looking at a united approach. So we in Africa, how can we, so you have started with your group, how can we unite in fighting and uprooting this thing that is destroying our women and girls?
Before I get to that, very quickly, I'll just add on to what my two colleagues here have said. The issue of gender-based violence, particularly on children, one is from our family level, we need to start having open conversations with our children. Based on our African culture, there's certain topics we avoid talking with our children, which is a problem. Second, we need to empower women, especially mothers, not to protect family members who abuse children. Because it's commonly known that most of the abuse, especially for children, is done by close family members or close family friends. Third is to kind of empower the boy child. Because our boy children, our male children, are going to be men, are going to be husbands, are going to be fathers. For example, in Tanzania right now, the abuse level of rape or things related to that, the cases for boys, young boys, is shockingly increasing. So it means now there's also an issue with boys. Like males are abusing boys, raping the boys, something which isn't necessarily thought of. We tend to assume that it's just girls. But the statistics are showing us, at least in Tanzania, that there is an issue. So we also need to look at boys. But generally, you're asking what is missing. A lot of African countries don't have standalone gender-based violence legislation. The issue of GBV is across different legislations, but there isn't one that is standalone. So maybe, as us for Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Tanzania, we can unite into advocating for gender-based violence standalone legislation. Now, to come back to how can we unite, here, when we talk about gender-based violence, we usually talk about physical. But these days, there is a new type of online, online gender-based violence, which
even this morning, I just went and I got one.
You got one.
Oh, yes.
You see.
Yeah. All I had to do was to post my picture. And yeah.
And fortunately, the African Union this year, I think between July and August, they recognized digital violence on women as a human rights issue. So as a parliamentarian, I was seeing that there's a gap in terms of our involvement as African parliamentarians in digital development. So I initiated the setting up of the African Parliamentary Network on Internet Governance, which currently has 36 members of parliament from 26 African countries. And I myself am the chair, founding chair, and our deputy chair is an MP, Honorable Alhaji Mbo from the Gambia. And our secretary, coincidentally, is from Ghana, Honorable Sam George. And one of the areas that we have selected that we have prioritized is digital violence and digital democracy. So as parliamentarians, we are also going to come together to see how can we tackle the issue of online gender-based violence, online violence on children. These days, our children are using social media, are online. Even if you don't want them to be online, they need to be online for their studies. How can you protect them? There's a lot of also sexual exploitation on children online. So these are things that we also have to look at when we're talking about gender-based violence, to also remember this new type of violence
that is ongoing.
Yeah.
My sister, in conclusion, as women in the media, how can we unite to fight against gender-based violence?
Yeah, as women in the media, we can do a lot. First of all, women in the media should be mentors, role models that our younger ones will be looking at. So with that in mind, we can form meetings, gatherings, invite our young people to attend from time to time. For instance, in Nigeria, we have the Nigerian Union of Journalists. We have the female version also. From time to time, they organize workshop, where young journalists are invited to come and learn about the profession. So by that way, we will be able to do that. I also want to say that in our churches, in our mosque, we will be able to do that. We can gather people together and talk to them. Because if we don't do that, the society will just go haywire. We need to do that in the churches. Even in the marketplaces, our women should be informed. Then for us, core people in the media, we have to project programs, come up with programs, innovative programs that will address the issue. When we do that and ensure that the audience or the listening public, they are always tuned to us to know what is happening. If we do a number of these things, I think that gender-based violence, whether against the girl child, whether against the male child, will be reduced to the minimum.
Yeah, that reminds me, this year I'm celebrating my 25 years in media. I just had a worship program, to thank God for that. And I'll wrap it up in January on my birthday. I'm having a conversation, transgenerational conversation with women in the media, to see how things have changed, the challenges we faced during my time. And some of the younger generation, what they face, how we can have a conversation, strategize, push the gender agenda together. Because there seems to be a gap, generational gap when it comes to the, feminism and, the women empowerment movement. There seem to be somehow where suddenly younger generation feminists or activists are seeing the older generation as not doing enough and not having that conversation. And that makes it easy for those fighting against us to come in between and say that, look at them. And then it destroys everything. Fadosa, you are the youngest amongst us today. Me, I'm 52. I'm going to be 53.
You can't be 52.
I am 52, yes.
You can't be 52.
I was born 23rd January 1970.
No way. I can't believe it.
She looks younger.
January, I'm going to be 53,
She looks younger.
Yes.
Wow, I can't believe though.
Yes, true. Very true.
Wow.
Anyway, so you wrap up, You know, normally they say the older one, but you, today we are giving it to the younger one.
Oh, thank you.
Wrap up for us. How can we do this from your perspective, from a younger generation? How can we unite to really fight? Because it is a problem.
Can I chip in before
Oh,
she
you
wraps
got,
up?
all right.
Since here we have media, women in media and women in politics,
yeah.
for me, I feel another way for us to unite is women in media to work together with women in politics.
That's so true.
Because some of the issues that we face as women in politics are caused by media. The way in which we're profiled, the way in which the reporting is done to kind of sexualize and genderize our being as leaders instead of focusing on issues.
Yeah.
So I think if we also unite as women in media and women in politics, it can be so much powerful to also remove the gender-based violence on women in media and women in politics.
I do agree. Okay.
Just to add to that is to say that the relationship between politics and media should be cordial.
Yeah.
You know, the politicians should see the journalists
As
partners,
yeah.
as friends, as stakeholders, and the media and the journalists should see the politician as partners as well.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, Fadusa.
Yeah, so I'm just going to start from a point on why we have a high case of domestic violence. I think for Africa is poverty. One of the biggest challenges we have in Africa is poverty, because and that is one of the triggers of gender-based violence.
That's so true, but Fadusa, I've seen some really powerful rich women who
it's true.
abuse.
It's true.
And they cover up.
I know why I'm saying that. Why I'm saying that is because you find that most of the women who keep quiet, most of the women who are violated sometimes they get violated, they get beaten and still stay because they cannot take care of themselves. So you can imagine that. Yeah, that's the point I'm coming from. I know that it happens. Even I know of so many well-to-do families that still face domestic violence.
Poverty,
so
not just financial poverty.
Not only
Sometimes
financial poverty,
poverty of knowledge.
Exactly,
poverty of confidence. You know, all those things. I get it. I get you.
Because so I think one of the ways is first of all for Africa to unite and ensure that most of the girls are taken to school. If we could come up with a policy that we need to empower, especially in Africa the poverty levels. So you find that most families cannot afford to take girls to school. So we need to empower our girls. We need our girls to go to school.
Our President, Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan, has now put free education
that
to Form 6.
That is perfect.
To make sure that girls remain in school.
So when girls are, first of all, when girls, you can see what happened during COVID.
Yeah.
Girls were affected during COVID time, so it meant that school was safe for them. Many girls were abused, many girls got pregnant, and so forth. So you can imagine a community where I serve right now. Last year we had 1,900 girls got pregnant. During COVID, that is 2020. I've not said about 2019 when COVID started. 2020. Now this 2021, we don't know how many. I mean, in 2021, we don't know how many. Because Uganda took 2 years when the schools were closed. So many girls got pregnant. So it means that school is a safer place. So we can start from there. Ensure that we have policies that gives free education to the young girls. Not only girls anyway, even the boys. Like let all people let all the children be empowered through an education. Let education be affordable. Or let it be even free, like Tanzania, for the case of Tanzania. So once girls are empowered, and then the curriculum also can also change. We need to have also issues of gender-based violence. Boys need to be told it's not right to beat a woman. You being a man doesn't mean that you need to beat a woman for you to be a man. So we can start it from the education level and from the younger generation that is coming up next. So when we start having this conversation for children at a young age and then empowering them, it means that we shall reduce cases of domestic violence at the end of it all. And then maybe the other one is, of course, is to ensure that our institutions are also well facilitated. Once they are well facilitated to handle cases of domestic violence and so forth, meaning we can achieve something. And also ensure that the women also, how do we support the survivors? Because most of the time the survivors can go and get treatment and then go back home. Okay, they have got justice. What happens to their mental status? Because sometimes that also becomes a challenge. Approach, so we need a holistic approach to that. So we need all that. Like for the case of Uganda, we also have policies anyway. We have policy. We have laws. We actually have laws. I may not even talk about policy because we have them. And we are not seeing it helping us much. So meaning we need to go beyond the policies.
It's one thing having laws and another implementation.
Gifty, let me just leave you with a little homework.
Okay.
when we're talking about gender-based violence, how do we look at corporal punishment in schools? Teachers beating children. Is that a form of violence or not?
It is. That's violence against
Because
children.
is it not?
It's been abolished, but
Yeah.
it's still going on.
In some countries, some countries have not yet abolished the
Actually,
issue of
Uganda have abolished
corporal punishment.
punishment,
And even when it's abolished, does it happen? Because those are also habits that kind of cultivate gender-based violence.
That is true. So actually in Uganda, it has been abolished as well. Yeah, because even we have cases where the children.
I know, yeah, to it on paper.
Yeah, so it has been abolished, but I know it happens. It still happens. Yeah, so we just need to empower our children to be able also to have the confidence to report, because some of them, these abuses happen to them every day, even at home where we stay with them. So just like Honorable Nema said, that we need to have a close connection between our children. Let's be open to them at a young age. Let's show them that you are able to listen to them. So once that happens, also children can be able to report, even when they are punished at school, or maybe someone has touched them. And then also conversation of the body. We need to talk to them. There is an age, maybe 10, for example. I mean, I'm not an expert on knowing which age can we introduce like sex education, like gender-based violence. So if we introduce and make children understand, it will help us a lot in fighting some of the issues of domestic violence and then empowerment.
So to wrap up, can we hold hands and call on our African sisters and brothers everywhere that we must unite and fight against violence against women and girls. It has to end now. It has to end now. It has to end now. Thank you very much, sisters.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope to see you again sometime, and may the next time we meet, we all can say that things have become better in our countries.
Sure.
Amen.
May to that. Thank you for making it, and wish you all the best.
And we wish you an advance happy birthday.
Thank you. I start announcing my birthday 3 months earlier. I'll be back with a bit of me. We can try very hard and explain why perpetrators abuse women and girls. Perpetrators commit violence against women and girls. We can give all sorts of reasons and list them. But bottom line is, it must end. It should not be accepted, tolerated, endured, or whatever in any way. In any shape or form. It must not be tolerated. We must continue to fight against it. We must continue to do our best to end it. And how we can do this is what matters most. Unity is important. Speaking with one voice as feminists, as gender activists, advocates, women empowerment experts, speaking with one voice, working together in a coordinated and strategic way to give power to our girls, to socialize our boys to understand that it is wrong to abuse a woman or a girl, to give power to these girls and women and to make them understand that it is wrong. We can't force them. It will take education. It will take empowerment. It will take giving knowledge. Ignorance can make people do all sorts of things. It is not about name calling or blaming them or trying to shame them. No. It's about letting victims understand and willing to stand by victims to go through that difficult period of speaking up and seeking justice. It will take us damning the consequences, family name or whatever it is, to make sure that perpetrators get what they deserve. victims and survivors get justice, no matter who it is that is involved. It will take us uprooting these institutional roadblocks and, challenges that make it difficult for us to fight against this canker. This is just part of the 16 days of activism, but it must be an all year round. Every day, every second, every minute, and we must do it deliberately. Violence against women and girls must end, and it must end now. It is possible to do it. It is possible to do it, but we need to unite with one voice. I remain a woman with super crazy faith in God. I believe God has got us covered, but He has given us wisdom. Let's use that wisdom to fight for what is right for our women and girls. Thanks for watching. See you same time next week. Bye for now.